Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode number 40 of Be With Me. We're in season 2, and we're in a passage just before Jesus gets to Jerusalem. It's the parable of the 10 minas. Now, a mina is about 3 months' wages for a laborer, let's say around $15,000 in today's dollars with regards to income. But this is not the parable of the talents. That's a different story in Matthew, and some of the details are different. So let me read at least part of it here. It's kind of long, actually. It's about 15 or so, 16 verses. And here we go. As they heard these things, that is, previous story about Jesus and Zacchaeus and the Son of Man came to seek and save the lost. That's where we're coming off of. As they heard these things, he proceeded to tell them a parable, because he was near to Jerusalem and because they supposed that the kingdom of God was to appear immediately. So we find out the reason for the parable before it even starts, and that is because they're near to Jerusalem and all the things that are going to happen there, and that they supposed that the kingdom was to appear immediately. So the knucklehead disciples here, even though Jesus has told them 3 times that he's foretold his death, in previous chapter, in Luke chapter 18, it talks about him being delivered into the hands and mocked and shamed and spit and flogged and then rise again. So incredible detail about what he told them, but to their credit, that saying was hidden from them. And Thomas, in John chapter 11, we talked about this, where Thomas heroically says, let's go that we may die with him. So they know something's going to happen here in Jerusalem, but they don't know what's going on. Okay. So back to the passage here, the parable of the 10 minas. He said, therefore, a nobleman went into a far country to receive for himself a kingdom and then return. The kingdom he's going to get actually is the land that he's leaving from. Verse 13. And calling 10 of his servants, he gave them 10 minas. So everybody gets 1 mina, apparently. 10 servants, 10 minas. A mina is $15,000. And he said to them, engage in business until I come. So he has this command that goes forth. But his citizens hated him. So there's 2 sets of people here. So let me just pause for a second. There's 2 sets of people. There's the servants, and then there's the citizens. The servants are the ones that get the 10 minas. The citizens seems to be a relatively distinct group. So then we hear about them now in verse 14. But his citizens hated him, bad attitude, and sent a delegation after him saying, we do not want this man to reign over us. Which is a horrible thing to say, because we find out as the story goes on that this is a ruler that has the authority to judge, has ownership of stuff, considers $15,000 of not only a little thing to be faithful in, but a very little thing to be faithful in. So he has resources and wealth in ownership. The minas are later described in the story as your minas, your resources, and then he's inheriting a kingdom. And this is what the citizens are rebelling against. And also being so stupid as to form a committee and make a proclamation. Okay. All right. But his citizens hated him and sent a delegation after him saying, we do not want this man to reign over us. So then time goes on apparently. And when he returned, having received the kingdom, so the kingdom that both the citizens and the stewards are in. When he returned, having received the kingdom, he ordered these servants whom he had given the money to be called to him, that he might know what they had gained by doing business. So underlying this whole thing is this expectant eye of return, of gain, of growth. That's a desire of the nobleman and an expectation put on the stewards by the nobleman. So then it's time to account. Verse 16, the first came before him, saying, Lord, your mina has made 10 minas more, which is incredible growth. And he said to him, well done, good servant, because you have been faithful in a very little, you shall have authority over 10 cities. And the second came, saying, Lord, your mina has made 5 minas. And he said to him, you are to be over 5 cities. So let's stop there for the day. The nobleman rewards these guys who were entrusted with what he calls a very small amount of money, and he's going to entrust them with a city. So he's going to entrust them with trash collection and public service and transportation and taxation and festivals and entertainment and the commerce of the city. So he really expands their authority. All right, so let me conclude here today. Similarly, we're not in the time of a full kingdom. We're in what we call the end times, that is between his first coming of Jesus and the second coming of Jesus. And so this full ownership, authority, judgment time has not quite happened to us yet. So let's be very sober as we look at the story. Certainly we are supposed to be faithful in what we've been given, a little or much. Both the stewards who were given money and the citizens who were given kingdomship, if you will, citizenship, are going to be called into account. So eventually everybody is going to be called into account, and everybody is tasked with the right attitude. We'll find out tomorrow that that there's a steward that has a wrong attitude, and then the citizens we already know have the wrong attitude. I wanted to highlight the expectant eye of return, that there be gain, that there be growth. So in the meantime, let's have careful words and let's deploy resources, no matter how big they are, big, small. God has given or charged us with authority over things. So whatever it is, be faithful where you're planted and with what you have been entrusted. And then the most important part about the story, and this will be brought out a little bit more tomorrow, is to have the right understanding of God, that you are the owner, the growth giver, the kingdom receiver, and the stewardship entruster. I will see you then. Look forward to it.